Hey everybody, it's time for Hot and Cold Teams this week, and this will be the last Hot and Cold Teams video that I will be doing for this season. Why? Well, because it's almost playoff time. There's a few games still left next week, but most teams are pretty much finishing up this weekend / the beginning of next week and only have a game or two, so there's really not going to be any changes heading into it. We're getting ready for playoff time. The regular season is almost over, so this will be the last weekend of my regular weekend videos that I do all regular season long, and we will be going into playoff mode. So, final hot and cold team videos. Obviously, I like to start with the hot. Before we begin, I just ask that you please subscribe and hit that thumbs up if you haven't. It helps out so much and is greatly appreciated. But let's take a look at the hottest teams in the NHL right now, coming down to the end of the year. Coming in at number 5, we have the Minnesota Wild, who are 7-1-2 in their last 10 games. They won their last time out. And Minnesota has had a great year all season long. They still have the chance to potentially move up the standings, although it looks like they're going to finish third. And that's obviously going to get them. They're locked into the playoffs, and they've had a great year, a lot better than I thought they were going to, and they've been playing very well recently. Number 4, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They are 8-2-0 in their last 10 games. They've won their last 2. They've had a fairly easy schedule the last month or so of the season, especially the last few weeks. A lot of games against New Jersey, a lot of games against Buffalo. They actually finished their season today with the Buffalo Sabres. But obviously they've won those games, and they've played well. They've done what they needed to do. They're probably going to lock up the division. If they win today, they lock up the East Division, and they will be your number 1 seed coming out of the East into the playoffs. Going to be playing the New York Islanders in the first round, most likely. That will be super exciting and fun to see who comes out of that series. I think definitely advantage Pittsburgh, but we'll see. Islanders could go into playoff mode and things could change quick, but Penguins have been playing really well, and they should lock up the division with a win today. 8-2-0 in their last 10. Also 8-2-0 in their last 10 and on a 2-game winning streak is the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas is leading the way in the West. It looks like they're probably going to win that division this year. Colorado still could take it, but I'm definitely expecting Vegas to finish it off. They've got a few games left. They'll be one of those teams that will be playing deeper into next week, but they're in very good shape right now and playing very good hockey. At number 2, we have the Florida Panthers, also 8-2-0 in their last 10 games. However, they have won 4 games in a row, which is a very nice win streak here for Florida. They finish up their season with 2 games against the Tampa Bay Lightning, one of them today, one of them on Monday. That ends the Panthers season. Oh, and by the way, they'll be playing the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round of the playoffs, so we get a little mini playoff preview here to end the season, and then we'll go into the actual postseason again with them versus Tampa Bay, the Battle of the Sunshine State. They've had a hell of a year this year. Florida has certainly well surpassed my expectations, and I think most people's expectations. They've had a phenomenal season, and they're playing great right now. Finally, coming in at number 1, I have the Carolina Hurricanes. 7-0-3 in their last 10 games. They did drop their last game in overtime, but I put Carolina at number 1 for one reason and one reason only. All these teams are playing great, but that big fat 0 in the regulation loss column. They have gotten points out of their last 10 games. They have not lost in regulation in their last 10, and they've only lost in regulation 10 times this season so far. So, Carolina's had a phenomenal year. They have a shot at the President's Trophy. They've already clinched the Central Division. That's right, the Canes have won the Central Division, and this team is looking very good going into the playoffs. So they are definitely one of the hottest teams right now. So those are your 5 hottest teams in the league: Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Vegas, Florida, and Carolina. Now we have to kind of switch things over to the cold side and look at the teams that aren't quite playing so well. Coldest teams coming in at number 5. The San Jose Sharks. They're just 3-5-2 in their last 10 games. They've lost their last one out, obviously eliminated from playoff contention. It's been a tough year again here for San Jose, much like last season, although I think it was a little bit more expected this year. They haven't had a great season. At number 4, we have the Anaheim Ducks, who are the worst team in the West Division. They are 3-6-1 in their last 10 games. Did get a point out of their last game. It was an overtime loss, but still only 3 wins in 10 games. And Anaheim is going to be likely getting a top 3 pick, or certainly a top 5 pick in this coming NHL draft. At number 3, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets. They are 2-5-3 in their last 10 games. They've lost their last one out in regulation. It's just been a downright disaster of a season for Columbus. I think they cannot wait for their season to just be done and over with. And it's obviously not been the kind of year that they were hoping for. I think you're going to see definitely some changes coming in Columbus this offseason. I think you're almost guaranteed to see a new coach there next year. I think you're probably going to see some significant roster changes as well. This team was about as bad as they possibly could have been this year. At number 2, we have the Buffalo Sabres. Unfortunately for Sabres fans, they've been no stranger to this list this season. They are just 3-7-0 in their last 10 games. They lost their last one out, and it's just, I mean, I think if they lose to Pittsburgh today, they clinch the worst record in the NHL, which would give them the best shot at the number 1 overall pick coming up in the draft. I think, there's not much more to say about Buffalo. It's been another really long, tough year for them. Coming in at number 1, the coldest team in the NHL right now happens to be the New York Rangers. 3-7-0 in their last 10 games. They've lost 5 straight. They have to play a very hot Boston Bruins team again today. They only have a couple games left, and I think the Rangers, eliminated at this point, cannot wait for their season to be over. It's been a wild year for the New York Rangers organization, and I think at this point they're just ready for this to end and move on and get into off-season mode and see what they can do heading into next season, because it wasn't the best of years for that team this year, to say the least. So those are your 5 coldest teams in the NHL: the San Jose Sharks, Anaheim Ducks, Columbus Blue Jackets, Buffalo Sabres, and New York Rangers. So there are your hottest and coldest teams in the NHL for the final time this season, as we are getting very, very close to playoffs here. Most playoff spots are locked up. Still have a couple things to figure out, but for the most part, the playoffs are, the teams that are making the playoffs are locked in. The teams that are not are locked out. We still got some seeding to figure out, but by next week, we're middle of next week, we're gonna pretty much know what the postseason is going to look like. So with that, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon merchandise store, donation link, and channel memberships are in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.